Hi guys, and welcome back to another episode of Velocity Radio. Now with this episode coming at you during Mental Health Week, I'm joined by a very special guest in Mr Thomas Boldy. How you doing, mate? You okay?
Hey, mate. I'm all right. Are you?
I'm not bad, thank you very much, mate. It's me and Tom known each other for a few years now, and I've sort of seen an unexpected side to him coming through troubles of his own and sort of developing into where he is now in a good situation. So I think it'd be a really great and a great inspiring podcast to get out to the people, mate.
Yeah, like hopefully it will be quite useful. Hopefully people can take some tips from it. Because obviously this week it's obviously Mental Health Awareness Week. It's important to try and spread awareness as much as we can. It's obviously something I'm passionate about as well. I think it's in well with this podcast because physical activity is so closely interlinked to our mental health as well. So yeah, mate, it's spot on, really.
Yeah. Am I right in saying that this week is dedicated to kindness? Yeah. Is that the theme of it?
Yeah. So that's the overall theme this particular time. It's kindness. So it's pretty self-explanatory. Be kind to people. That's kind of the message.
Yeah, I should hope people understand that one quite well.
Hopefully.
Yeah, mate. So I think best place to start, mate, maybe just a sort of an introduction about yourself, just a bit about your background and where you are today, really, bud.
Yeah, so mate. So just like you said, my name's Tom. I'm from Bradford, but I've lived in quite a few different places, really. My job role now, I work for the NHS. I'm training to be a Psychological Wellbeing Practitioner, so it's quite a mouthful.
Not kidding, mate.
That's basically, to put it in short terms, it's mental health therapy. So if a person's struggling with depression, anxiety, stress, they'll come to see someone like myself who works within the NHS, and we put treatment plans in place to help them. So yeah, it's something I'm really passionate about. Before that, I've been to uni twice before that as well. I first studied sports performance, so like sports obviously close to me. I'm not sure if you can see, but I've got my Liverpool top on. So that's pretty important to me as well. The importance of exercise. I then trained to be a teacher. So I don't really want to go into my life story, but that's kind of what brought me towards the mental health stuff. With teaching, the students that I taught in Leeds, there was a lot of them that were struggling with the mental health. It seemed like something I was quite good at supporting with because I've struggled myself as well, and I've been through treatment myself. It just seemed like a natural progression, really. And it's something that I've just kept on trying to spread awareness. I've done talks, like I said. I don't want to bore people too much with my life story.
It's cool, mate. It's cool. How long have you sort of been training to get to the sort of role that you're in currently?
So it's taken a few years, basically. So like, there's quite a few different qualifications that you can have. So my teaching degree, that's helped with some of the things we do. It's kind of like a different form of teaching, really. So that degree really helps me get onto the job with the NHS. But the main bit of it, like the past few years, I've been doing a lot of talks where I've delivered talks to businesses across West Yorkshire. I've done talks in universities and schools as well. I've done quite a bit on social media, so that's kind of given me like a portfolio of things that I did, which I then delivered to the NHS, and luckily they said I could train to do my dream job, really.
They quite liked you.
Really, like, luckily they liked me, like God knows why, but...
Decent, mate. I like it. So are you based at an NHS in Bradford Hospital then with that?
No. So like my place of work's in Doncaster, so it's quite a bit of travelling for myself, and because my home is obviously in Bradford. The basis of it is that it's extremely hard to get the positions. the time that was spent searching for the roles, there wasn't many available in Bradford at that time.
Right.
Because it was something I wanted to do, I just stretched out everywhere and basically
Yeah,
around
mate.
the country.
Just jumped on it.
Yeah, so luckily I got the one in Doncaster.
Nice, mate. Nice. Are you work with like I presume there's like a team here down there that all sort of cover various aspects of mental health and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sweet.
So like, the team I
So,
work
yeah.
is quite specific, and like so we work with patients that have got long-term health conditions.
Right.
So that basically links into physical activity in itself anyway. We work closely with all the different nurses, so it's kind of like a collaborative form of treatment, so it's quite useful.
Yeah. No, decent, mate. Decent. So obviously, this week's coming to us while we're still in a state of lockdown during Corona. Obviously, posing quite a sort of boredom and anxiety sort of ridden sort of few months. Obviously, me and you spoke just before this, and you know, it's come at a time of the year when it's sort of the best times of the year for many of us, getting out, going on holidays, friends, barbecues, X, Y, and Z. Obviously, it's playing a lot of havoc with our mental health moving forwards. Obviously, you're still working currently. Are you sort of, not to divulge too much into like your life and your work, but are you experiencing like a good intake of people at the minute, like coming to you with health problems?
Yeah. So it's been extremely busy. So just with like the lockdown, really, like it's a difficult time for people. It's something that most of us have never experienced before. The sense of not being able to socialise, not being kind of going to be able to see family, friends. For some people, that's what got them out of bed. That's what got them moving. So to have that withdrawn from them, it's been difficult, especially with people with long-term conditions. Like I said, they have to shield, which basically means they're not allowed to leave the house. Whereas some people can still go shopping, they've got to stay in. Yeah, like the amount of referrals, it's been busy, but it's been good because I felt motivated to help people. Like it's been, like it's got me through lockdown as well, keeping me.
Yeah. I suppose it's sort of, you're seeing a really rewarding side to it at the minute, aren't you? Getting a lot of people through. I mean, I know I was speaking, shout out to my nan, but she was saying to me like that when like she's like survived from like pre-war time, so she was like that was the biggest thing that we ever had. We were like used to just living in like a way of this is how we're living, like no options. And she was like saying to me, she was like, your generation never had that experience of don't do this, you can't go there, you can't do this. She was like, so, and she was like, with our advanced generation is now, she was like, it's a different world. You're not used to it. But she was like, in theory, it should be easier for you because you've got Zoom, you've got FaceTime, you've got everything. She was like, I didn't know if my granddad were going to turn up to meet me because he couldn't text me. You know what I mean? So I feel like
there's no comparison to it whatsoever.
Different world, mate, completely. But obviously, as you said there, a lot of us, it's quite hard hitting. I know a lot of people, myself, who not been affected badly, but they've had days when they're down in the dumps and they're sort of struggling for that motivation every day to just get up and do something. Obviously, with that, I suppose you've obviously not medicated, but you've given a lot of good advice. Have you got any big tips or tricks for people currently?
Yeah, well, the main focus point of it that we try and tell patients is basically to try and keep up that level of structure and routine, right? Because we've seen that there's a lot of people who have entered furlough, which is just one example where you can kind of lose that routine where you're getting up at a certain time, you've got quite a lot of time working, then you might set aside some time to do something else more pleasurable. But it's just about trying to set yourself a routine because it's vitally important. Once you've got a structure, you can build on it, right? So if you go to bed at a certain time, waking up, that kind of revives your sleep and wake cycle, which is really important for your energy. So when that gets sorted, it could be just an example. It could be if someone's really, really struggling and they can't get out of bed because they're feeling extremely low. They could try and set themselves one thing that they want to achieve. All right, so that could be getting out of bed and getting showered. Brilliant, that's an achievement. It's really about focusing on the little wins. So like the little things you can achieve in a day.
Yeah.
So focusing on well-being, such as trying to get out. So we are quite lucky that we can go on walks and things like that. So there's plenty of home workouts as well that I've been tuning into. I've literally been doing some leg bums and tums as well, which I never thought I'd ever join on to.
Mate, there's nothing wrong with it. It's a great time, I think, to try something new in terms of home workouts and stuff, mate. I started doing couch to 5K last week.
It's brilliant, mate, actually. Yeah, just
out of pure boredom, mate. I was like, right, I'm not very good at running. Let's try something new.
But just like the main message, be creative, right? We've got so much time to actually learn new skills, develop new things that we want to try. So it could be that we learn how to bake. That's one example. So I've been baking cakes, cookies, absolute cake connoisseur now.
Start calling you Mary Berry.
Yeah, literally, you might as well. But just to kind of do those creative things, or it could be, yeah, you're absolutely gutted you can't get to a gym. However, there's countless plans online, right? Like Joe Wicks does 30-minute sessions, which are high intensity, different levels. Couldn't rate them high enough. Absolutely brilliant. There's also a lady who I'm friends with. She's called Katie Gawthorpe. She's a personal trainer as well. She's qualified. It's one that I definitely recommend on Instagram. She does live workouts, but she makes them quite personal and fun as well. To know the people, she sets her own little plans as well. But she also does free workouts, which I would highly recommend because my quad is really massive now, and it's all thanks to her.
Nice, right, nice. I like it, yeah. So it's just about getting them little wins, I think. The little goals that in everyday life seem next to nothing, but I think in this time they're essential, aren't they?
Yeah,
just to improving your life. Obviously, we hope this doesn't go on for too much longer, but I feel like as it goes on, people are sort of understanding what they need to do to get those wins, if that makes sense. With that. Definitely. So one thing that I think obviously is mental health coming to a bit more prominent and sort of the forefront now is stigmas around mental health. Obviously, I've been doing a quick bit of research, mate, pulling out some facts and figures for you. And obviously, one stigma that comes up every single year, every single day in conversation is around males speaking out.
Definitely.
Obviously, I know yourself. You found the courage and ability to speak out when you had an issue. I know many people have in the sort of same space as you have as well, but only apparently 12% of males are willing to speak out if they've got an issue. And that's an astounding figure, mate. When in comparison, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, like you try and think of it like on the larger context. It's minimal, but the stat which really staggers me is there's nearly 90 males per week that commit suicide. That stat just is extremely alarming, but like it kind of comes hand in hand with your stat because they're not speaking out, they're not communicating. It's that stigma where you man up, keep your head up, etc.
Yeah.
It's not beneficial, is it? So really, we need to try and spread more awareness on that, which I've been trying to do. But yeah, we can definitely have a conversation around that to kind of basically look at the stats and possibly highlight certain males that have been talking out, because there is some quite cool people that have been talking about mental health recently. So I don't know if you know anyone.
Personally, mate, like I know people like within maybe a friendship group who've had the ability to come out and just say, look, I'm struggling a bit here, which I obviously, if a friend does that, I'm sort of proud of what they've done, but also feel like inspired that they can do that at the same time. But I mean, I personally, I've not seen too many on celebrities or anything like that. Do you know any?
So just for the same as me, like there's plenty of friends I know that have talked about it, and massive credit to them because I personally know how difficult it is as well. But celebrities, so the first one that kind of comes to my mind who's done so much in the past few years for it's Tyson Fury. So for people who don't know Tyson Fury, he's obviously heavyweight champion of the world. He's the biggest, strongest man, let's say, just to kind of put it in that context. And he's gone all the way down to the bottom of his mental health previously. So it just goes to show no matter how big, strong, mental health can come into anyone's life with different experiences. But Tyson has done a lot of things for mental health. Just one to name. So I think the first fight he had with Deontay Wilder, his purse that he took home to kind of like his payday, most of that was donated to people suffering mental health and to different charities. So what a man.
Absolutely. Like, just, I think he really shows that you can go from top to bottom to top in a space of a year. You know what I mean? The turnaround he had was just influential. I mean, saying that, I've been watching the football show on Sky every morning. They had Craig Bellamy on, and he's come out and announced that he had troubles for many years, and it only took until he went to one club and someone actually said to him, "Look, are you all right?" And he was like, I crumbled as a man." I think sometimes it takes that, or I think with a lot of it takes to have maybe another male that speak out. I think a lot don't want to do it because they know nobody is in that situation. You know what I mean? I think if you have one person that come out, it sort of brings on that chain of events.
It does. So just to kind of put that into context, what you were saying there as well, that massively impacted me speaking out as well. There was a footballer who passed away called Gary Speed, massive footballer, as well. He killed himself, but there wasn't really sure what was going on, but they did kind of circulate towards mental health. And that was kind of the first time that it kind of came out to the media, and quite a bit was being done, but that kind of made me feel like it wasn't just me who was suffering with similar thoughts and feelings. But just touching on the Tyson Fury thing again, it just shows no matter how low you are, there's still hope, so you can still make those steps to achieve things, just like he's done within 12 months, right at rock bottom, pretty much won the heavyweight championship of the world, didn't he? So just goes to show, by putting your mind to it, by getting support, by talking about it, you can truly achieve anything you want to. It just takes a bit of time. But yeah, the stigma which is attached to us males is somewhat rotten.
It literally is down in dumps. Obviously, I've said there that 12% of males actually speak out. But of those 8%, I think I read, they'll either turn to alcohol quite excessively or illegal substances to sort of get over the effect of what they're suffering. Which again, you know what I mean, is astounding. The fact that only 4% of the males who won't speak out are actually sort of dealing with it in a way, if sort of that can be said, whereas 8% are sort of just seem to just give up completely with everything.
Yeah, so it just shows you how much progress we still need to make with it. The third person who's done quite a lot is Prince William, so he's actually done quite a bit where he's been trying to encourage people to talk. Prince William was involved with the Shout service. Have you heard of that before?
I've briefly heard of it. Yeah, I saw it the other day for the first time actually, when it came up as a number you could ring or text if you were in need.
Yeah, so it's basically a text service where you basically just text Shout to a certain number, which I can get you to provide after because I've not got it.
One job, mate.
I know, one job and I didn't do it. But that's basically a text service, and you text that number and the person on the other side is qualified to deal with mental health difficulties. So that can be quite useful if you're scared to actually vocally voice it, which is sometimes hard.
Mm-hmm.
It can sometimes be better to write down in a text, so that could be quite useful for trying to possibly improve those stats, I think.
Yeah, would obviously the shout service like is quite in my eyes it's quite new. It's not something that I've seen before, like being able to text somebody. But that would that come to someone like yourself, sort of in terms of that, who's like qualified at that level to help you sort of deal with your problems with that?
Yeah, they're probably not qualified to my level.
Mm-hmm.
That sounded really bad.
No, I know what you mean, mate. Yeah.
But just qualified maybe for like crisis care. Like there's different type of qualifications you can get within mental health.
Mm-hmm.
That could be more like the basic level, or it could be the crisis care level. It just depends on the type of message that gets sent. Like I'm guessing they must have a type of step process where the text message goes to a certain person. But it's a brilliant idea, really.
Yeah, really is.
More people are going to start creating more things for.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. I mean, like, I think it's important to know that a lot of males can speak to another male like yourself. I think a lot, not to downgrade or anything like that, but a lot think they're going to speak to maybe a female nurse or a female someone, and I think that they don't feel safe or secure in that environment and confident enough to put out the problems and think they won't understand like maybe another male will.
Definitely.
I think to a lot of people, they want to speak to someone they like and sort of gain an understanding, which is obviously brilliant that you're in the situation you're in. I think to sort of pursue that at least.
Yeah, like, there's not many of us, but like
No,
males in the NHS.
like it, mate. Key worker. Brilliant, mate. So obviously, I go back to a topic you made earlier, is physical activity and being a big fan of your sport and everything like that. In past years, I think mental health become quite prominent in sport as well. Obviously, we've seen the growth. I think 2, maybe 3 years ago, Mind Mental Health linked with the Championship and the EFL as a key sponsor for them. I think. Did you see mental health taking more of a prominent role now in sport?
Yeah, so it seems like it's basically starting to actually be focused on a lot more. Just because of all these stats that are coming out, it's very alarming, and like we've already touched on. So it pretty much rings bells when Prince William is focused on doing a lot for mental health. It's obviously going to come down into big sporting events, really, because it's a massive part of our culture, isn't it? But the big one was definitely the Mind stuff. That sponsorship, it gets that name out there, gets it recognised. Their website's brilliant, by the way. It's got hundreds of different blog posts from people that have suffered with things, giving their own advice and the stories, which obviously helps, just like we touched on. When people share their stories, it has that knock-on effect to actually support other people. But fantastic that they've actually been able to do that. So hopefully that's like a knock-on effect and we have more and more.
Yeah, because I hate to admit it, with that first season, it came on the back of the shirts. And you just see like their little squiggle logo. I had no idea what it was at all, not a clue. I remember literally Googling one day, squiggle on back of shirts. Just literally, mate, no idea. And then it came up to mind, and I remember going through to their website and just being like completely amazed that I hadn't seen anything like in the press release about it, or no big links. You know what I mean? I hadn't seen either the EFL or like Mind tweeting anything about it. I just saw it on a shirt one day and thought, oh, I'll just give that a Google and see what it is. And I think it's nice to see that we are accepting now that footballers are humans in a way.
Yeah, definitely.
I hate to talk about it. Obviously, players at this time, they've all been still furloughed. I spoke with Anthony O'Connor last week, Bradford City centre half, but he's furloughed. And I think we forget that even though they may be a footballer and it may seem like a complete different universe to be in their position, they still have mental health problems just like I would, just like you could.
Yeah, like I'd probably say the most difficult thing about that is with footballers, there's a lot of jealousy from people who may have wanted that life, but they didn't quite get there. But the thing with football is, just like you said, we're all human, we're all the same. Just because they've got a different job where they might get a different wage or they might get a different type of job intensity, they've still got to work hard to get the performances, to join clubs, to keep going and stuff. But the pressure they get put under, massive, from management, fans, hundreds of thousands of people screaming abuse at you. That's a difficult situation to be in.
You can't tell me something like that's not going to play with your mental health to a level. You know what I mean? If you're ready to say it, but you turn up at Anfield, you turn up at Ellen Road, you turn up at Old Trafford, and you've got 30, 40,000, 50 people on your back. You do one bad pass, you miss that penalty. That's going to take some serious sort of mental stability to think, yeah, I'm all right. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but fair play to the majority of football teams. They all have like a mental health person who kind of helps the players, which I think is really good. That's something that they didn't used to really have back in, let's say, 20, 30 years ago, let's say.
Yeah.
Probably the last time that Leeds ever did anything good. But now there's plenty of mental health support for these players. It's just about continuing it and developing it like everything else, really.
Yeah, I mean, I know I spoke there. The EFL's linked with Mind. Do you know off the top of your head if the Premier League's linked with anybody, or do they just employ like specific team mental health therapists?
So there's nothing off the top of my mind that I can try and think of. So that kind of rings alarm bells. I'm so passionate on football, and I've not seen anything with the Premier League just yet. But just from my own knowledge in the Premier League clubs, they do tend to have like their own psychological mentor or coach. There was a certain one who was working closely with Steven Gerrard. Gerrard used to suffer with his mental health, especially when he slipped and we didn't win the league that time. But there's been countless occasions where it's been used but then not kind of carried on. So like the England national team, they basically used to use them with the pressure of World Cups and stuff like that. Like it seems in other sports, it's absolutely massive. I'm hoping that with the Mind thing in the Championship, it just keeps growing and then we see it.
Yeah, I hate to keep using football as an example, but it's all I seem to know. I know Jamie Carragher was speaking out earlier, I think it was yesterday, regarding mental health at football clubs and stuff like that. And he was saying that him and Gary Neville were talking about it, and Gary Neville was saying that he received mental health support when he was at his lowest in his career, but Carragher received it when he was at his peak of his career, when his absolute best.
Okay.
I think he was relating it back to the fact that he wanted to make sure he stayed there for as long as possible and kept that mindset of what he was in now. Which I think is interesting to see, that he didn't seek it in his time of worst. He sought it in a time when he was mentally strong, but wanted to, I think, keep at that level.
Yeah, that kind of shows maybe the anxiety that I was feeling, that I might not feel that same high again. That's how I see that, really. So
yeah,
he got help with his anxiety or to try and manage his thoughts to stay that high, but it's just not possible really to stay that high. Best way to look at life is like a heartbeat, goes up and down. All right, you have your good times, you have your bad times, but it's pretty difficult to stay at a high level of happy mood for a long time. Like we're always going to have dips. But yeah, that's pretty interesting to know that he didn't seek it when he was at his low, that he seeked it at his high.
Yeah. It fascinated me a little bit as well with it. I was a bit surprised, but fair play to the man that he is. Obviously, I think the good times helped him through his bad times. Off the back of that, then I do know. Actually, going to use an example of a different sport here, but I know rugby league has Rugby League Cares, where they essentially they're like an organisation that work alongside the rugby league as a whole and try help life plan with the players, sort of for like after their careers, what they're going to plan to do, so they're not just finishing one day and the next day left in the dark.
like that.
Because I think obviously there was some stat, I can't remember off the top of my head, but it was how many males or females just leave a sport and haven't career planned for what they're going to do after that sport. They just wake up one day after the end of the season with no pre-season to look forward to, no games on the telly, no training to be keeping doing, and that brings them down to square one, which I think we can relate there to the situation that we're in. We're waking up with no set clear thing to look forward to because we don't know when it's going to happen.
Massive. Which kind of brings me on to kind of my next point around the use of physical activity with helping your mental health. There's basically some research that I've found, because I'm still training, there's countless research we have to do, but there's been quite a lot that I've seen, which is like recent research, which has shown regular mild to moderate type of exercise, which is aerobic, can be as effective as medication for dealing with symptoms for mild to moderate depression. And that absolutely blew my mind, because that just further highlights the link between your mind and your physical body. So like when you're active, when you're doing things, generally we feel a bit better, right? But when we feel quite low, we usually stop doing things and we notice we're quite lethargic and tired. But that just goes to show that it can really help. And basically, there is certain countries that do use physical exercise as a form of treatment before you actually have psychological treatment and before you actually have medication. Those countries are Canada, they have it in New Zealand, and they have it in their neighbouring country of, I think,
Australia?
Yeah, so Australia as well. They're 3 countries which are kind of leading the way with being creative with mental health. So it's not the first line of treatment here yet. However, with countries like Australia, where mental health has been quite progressive, really, that's actually used as their first point of treatment, right? So they look at the physical activity levels and they get them to do some aerobic exercise, because it's known to help the serotonin levels in your brain and the endorphins. They're basically happy chemicals.
Yeah.
Good. So it just goes to show, with lockdown, get on those walks, get on those little jogs. Can you do some home workouts? It's going to make you feel better. Generally, it is very helpful.
Yeah. And I know we've all probably been in a situation like it before, where if we're having a crap day or you've had a bad day at work and you go out for a run, you go out to the gym, you even go play football with lads, which I know obviously we can't do in this current time, but something like that just clears your head, doesn't it, completely? For whatever you've done for the next hour and a half, is nothing to you. It just allows you to have that bit of, I don't know, freedom, whatever we're going to call it.
Yeah, so I'm sorry to turn into a scientist for like 1 minute.
It's all right, mate.
Useful, I thought.
Quite, you bring it out as much as you need, mate, for the facts and figures you've got. One thing I just want to move on to, mate. Obviously, we spoke numerous times within that. Is about like your path and your sort of thing to where you are today. So obviously you've come through issues yourself, so to speak. You've come out the other side, obviously a lot stronger and in a lot better position, in a position to inspire and be a role model. I never thought I'd say that to you, mate. I don't know whether you just want to give like a quick overview, as much detail as you want, just about sort of where you've at, where you at a point and where you thought I need to sort this out.
Yeah. So basically, just to kind of give like an overview of it, I'd say I struggled with my mental health back when I was in secondary school, so quite a long time ago, really. My type of mental health was affected due to kind of like traumatic events when I was little. So my relationship with my dad, it's sometimes good, sometimes bad, but my parents broke up, so that was quite difficult for me. And then both my grandparents passing away, which is quite natural. That was difficult for me as well. So to be a male going to an all-boys school. I just felt like I couldn't talk about it.
Really like a dog-eat-dog situation, like survival of the fittest in a way, isn't it? Something like that.
Yeah, it's just not the environment where I wanted to talk about it, because I think I would have been chewed up and spat out. And because of the times back then, there was no real education on mental health. So it felt like it was just me, really. I just didn't feel comfortable speaking about it. But then when Gary Speed passed away, mental health pretty much came into the news, and it gave me the confidence to speak out, which I did. I basically went to my GP, spoke about it. My ex-girlfriend helped me at that time as well. She was quite supportive, but then I basically broke up with her just to kind of focus on myself, really, which is the best decision I've ever done. But she was a lovely girl, she helped me through that period of my life, so I'm thankful for that. But there's been countless people I can thank, like my current girlfriend, friends, family, like people in the NHS. So the treatment which they put me on, that was to work with depression. So they got me trying to get back doing things I wanted to do, and I had some counselling where I could talk through my emotions. I got some closure from some of those traumatic events that I've been through. But yeah, I can't thank the NHS more. They've been so helpful. That's what drove me to want to do the job I'm doing now, was to be able to help people like they helped me.
Yeah.
But yeah, just the most important message on that is you're not alone. There's a lot of people who suffer with it. There's 1 in 4 people are known to suffer with a mental illness, that can be treated. All right, there are treatment plans. There are people that want to help you. Fortunately for myself, the confidence was there to communicate about it. So that's the big thing as well. Basically saying, look, the problem's there, accepting it, reaching out for that support. Could be with your GP, it could be self-referrals, a new thing as well. So you don't actually have to go through your GP anymore. You can self-refer via the phone, or you can self-refer, which is online, which is basically to your local mental health places. Bradford have got one called My Wellbeing College, and it's absolutely spot on. They have a self-referral online or on the phone, and it's really nice and interactive. But seriously, I could not thank them enough, because I don't think I'd be here. They really, really did transform my life from the support they gave me.
No, brilliant. Obviously, it's great that you've come back from, you know what I mean, well done ultimately from that. You know, you've broke a huge stigma and a huge barrier down yourself, and I think it sort of puts it into perspective there that a lot of males, or even females, you know what I mean, they can approach you and come to help with you, but you're not going to be in that situation where it's like, you've never experienced this, you don't know what I'm going through. Exactly. You've been there, you've done that, you've got the t-shirt ultimately, and you've come out the other side of it, and you're like, there's nobody in a better position really that I know of to sit down with someone and say, look, like, this is what we're going to do for you. I also think it's alarming there that the fact you mentioned it, that the only real reason that everything came to light mental health was the sad passing of Gary Speed. Do you know, it takes someone to sadly commit suicide for someone to turn around and go, actually, do you know what, mental health's quite important.
Yeah, like that further highlights the notion when people talk about it, when people share stories, when people try to educate people, it really can make that difference. That's why I try and do videos on my social media. And like, there's one that I did right at the start of my journey, just after I recovered from treatment. Something came over me that I still can't explain today, but I just decided to put my camera in front of me, explain what I'd been through, tips on how to get help, etc. And the thought process behind that was just to get it out of my system and try and help people within my local area. Just because I did know there was a few people that have been suffering, but they hadn't really been getting that support. And it basically got shared around the country, and it got pretty close to 20k views, which is pretty massive for me, really.
Yeah.
That got shared within the NHS. That video was then used on the Mental Health Foundation first aid training. So that was kind of like the basis of me trying to get a career, really. So quite useful. But just to go back on the notion behind it is to share your story, to talk about it, to openly talk about it. It can genuinely save lives. Like, there were countless people messaging me from around the country basically saying that it helped. So that helped them, but it also helped me as well, because I felt like I had a purpose, which is massive within mental health. Having that purpose keeps you grounded, keeps you going.
Yeah.
So yeah, just to kind of further highlight that, by sharing your story, by sharing things on social media, it could just help that one person. That's actually important.
Yeah, I think it's worth mentioning there, like your idea of a video of yourself, if you just sat it up and just went for it. I'm not saying to anybody that if they are struggling or anything like that, you can go post it on social media and tweet or anything, but just sitting down, maybe doing a video like that and making sure it goes to the right person in the right place, your GP, someone like yourself, someone at Mind, it's potentially an easy way to just get everything out of your system that you need to do. It's just you and a camera, no one going to judge you, and then that you're contacted from there in a way that's applicable to your situation. Yeah, decent, mate, decent. So you mentioned there, just going back a few bits, is that you're posting stuff on your social medias. I will put links and stuff out down below, mate, see if people fancy jumping in. Is that the Be Bold Instagram?
Yep, so that comes from basically my surname's Boldy. It's quite a peculiar surname, but that particular brand and the particular mental health page, it was created by me and my cousin, who is Australian as well.
Right.
But, just to kind of shout him out, hey up Scott. But that was kind of designed because we both kind of struggled with our mental health, and we wanted to put something in place to help people.
Yeah.
It's something that I've taken a bit of a back burner with the training I've been doing with the NHS, but I still do post things onto my Instagram page, which is Be Bold Mental Health. But yeah, it's just a nice page that just has tips of how to help your well-being, how to help other people. I'd say it's nothing too serious. It's just a nice page which has got tools and interventions that you can use. And there's a few videos of my face basically explaining what you could do to help yourself.
Yeah.
So from my point of view, it's quite a useful, positive tool there to help people. But yeah, feel free.
I suppose, I'll tag it down below. But I suppose in a way, mate, it's nice for you to differentiate between your personal life and maybe not in a past life, so to speak, of when you were in that deep, dark place. So you're not sort of conflicting the two anymore, and you've sort of shown that you've built on what you've done.
Yeah, so it's nice I've got a separate page now.
Yeah. No, perfect, mate. Thank you very much for all that. I really appreciate it, and I hope a lot of people take a lot from it, and males in particular sort of increase that number quite drastically over the coming years, months, and we'll see where we are in a few years' time.
Yeah, like I just basically want to say, hang tight the man dem. That stat needs to improve, all right? But
yeah,
just to kind of get back to the realness of it, it's a massive situation that we're all going through. Like, the thing with mental health is we all have a certain aspect of it, all right? Just like physical health, if you break your arm, what would you normally do? You'd normally go to hospital, get it checked out, and you get it treated. Mental health's just the same. It could be you're struggling with stress, you're struggling with anxiety, you're struggling feeling low. Why not give yourself the chance to get that treated? Like I said, you can go to your GP, or you can self-refer to your local mental health services. So because this is pretty local with Bradford and stuff, my wellbeing college, but they're mostly called the IAP services. So you just search that on Google, get yourself some help. Feel free to contact me on my social media, and like it's something that I do tend to talk to people if they want to talk to me. yeah, just thank you so much for having me on. Like, it means a lot to me as well. So thank you, mate. Appreciate it.
Just a all round nice guy, aren't you, mate? After all that.
No.
No, perfect, Tom. I appreciate it a lot, mate. Thank you very much, guys, for tuning in, and we'll catch you soon.